It was a beautiful morning on the island of Sodor. Thomas the Tank Engine's blue paint sparkled in the sunshine as he puffed happily along his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle. He was feeling very pleased with himself. Whistled Percy, boasted Thomas, said Toby, added Percy, huffed Thomas. Percy said no more. He just grinned at Toby. Later, Thomas was resting when Percy arrived. A large harbor was loading his freight cars full of coal. Thomas was still being cheeky. He warned, "Remember the cars?" The last load poured down. Cried Thomas. Percy was worried, but he couldn't help laughing. Tom's smart blue paint was covered in coal dust from smokebox to bunker. Chuckled Percy. Choked Thomas. It took so long to clean Thomas that he wasn't in time for his next train. Toby had to take Annie and Clarabelle. Whispered Annie to Clarabelle. They were most upset. Thomas was grumpy in the shed that night. Toby thought of a great joke, but Percy was cross with Thomas for thinking he had made his paint dirty on purpose. Next day, Thomas was feeling more cheerful as he watched Percy bring his cars from the junction. The cars were heavy and Percy was tired, said his driver. The water column stood at the end of the siding with the unsafe buffers. Suddenly, Percy found that he couldn't stop. The buffers didn't stop him either. Wailed Percy. The buffers were broken and Percy was wheel deep in coal. It was time for Thomas to leave. He had seen everything. He chuckled to himself. That night, the two engines made up their quarrel. Whispered Percy. Replied Thomas.